Many years ago, someone asked me what it is that makes a good principal. At that point of time, I was unable to say what it was. But now, many years later, I would say that it's a lot of experience and a lot of learning. I spent the first 25 years of my working life as a professor of the English department in Allahabad University. I then joined the United Nations and went to Bhutan and was one of a 3-member committee which set up the academic structure of the Royal University of Bhutan. When I came back from Bhutan, I was headhunted and taken to a school in Gurgaon. I had never taught in a school, and I said so. But they said, you go and see the school, you'll like it. This was my first experience with the IB. And I started as a house parent, a grade 7 drama and English teacher. 6 months down the line, I was made principal of the school. That started my journey. I went through the tenure review of the school. I went through the first review of the CIS for the school. And then the group wanted to set up 2 more schools. And I was in charge of getting them their DP affiliation. After I finished that, I was headhunted again. And this time, I went off to Dubai. In Dubai, it was learning of a different kind. It was many steps up, because Dubai did not believe in principals who just ran the academic part of the school. In Dubai, the principal was called principal/CEO. In other words, the holding company was what is known as GEMS, Global Education Management Systems, and each school was a separate company in itself, reporting to the holding company. The principal was in charge of everything, from child safety to academics to even profits. Now, in those years, I learned a lot. GEMS was a great teacher in the sense they arranged a lot of training, and I absorbed as much of it as I could. The best thing was that I was able to interact with CBSC, with ICSC, with IB, with IGCSC, AS and A levels, and also with the British National Curriculum, leading to the OAS A levels. So apart from the American plan, I did everything. And in those days, I can only say one thing: it was invaluable what I learned. I learned finance, I learned safety, and because Dubai has what is known as an inspection board which comes every year to check how the school is doing, all your theories, all your practices are tested out. I came back to India and joined the Cathedral Vidya School in Lonavala, again as its principal and CEO. After I finished my tenure and left from Cathedral, I came to Candor. And here I am now at Candor. I came in on the 17th of April, and I spent the first few weeks before the school closed down for the summer vacations just observing, just looking at things and picking out what are the areas that we need to work upon to give both students and parents a better experience in the coming academic session. The question is, what can you expect? What kind of a person is this new principal, and what's he going to do? What surprises is he going to spring on you? Well, first of all, let me tell you that I do not believe in online education. Schools are not meant only for academics. If we keep these two principles in mind, I think we'll be on the same page. Schools are there for children to interact with people. They learn academics, yes, but along with that, they learn other things which are so much more important in life. Please remember that the world is changing so fast that the things that we know today or take for granted today will cease to exist in the next 5 years. And by the time the kids who are now in grade 1 graduate from university and join life, the world will have changed many times. It will have changed in such strange and indeed huge ways that the world will become unrecognizable. And the question is that if today we give children only academic knowledge, what are we preparing themselves for? Because that academic knowledge will become irrelevant and useless tomorrow. So what we look at is development of skills. One of the things that today's educators say is that there are 3 kinds of curricula. The first is the written curriculum. The written curriculum is what you have, let's say the IGCSE curriculum or the IB curriculum or the CBSE curriculum, whatever. That's the written curriculum. The second curriculum is the learned curriculum. You're wondering what is the difference? Something is written and something is learned. Take it, for instance, a maths class. And let's say that the teacher, the written curriculum says factorization. The teacher who is teaching does it in a way where he introduces a lot of shortcuts. And the learned curriculum for the student is something quite different from what is written in the book. Now, this experiential learning can happen not just from a teacher, but when the student goes out of the classroom and learns. When the student does a project in which he is going to use the concepts that are written in the book. Each of these things will then grow into what we call today learned curriculum. The third is the assessed curriculum. Many a time I have heard parents saying that no question was asked from this chapter. Forget about it. We have to see whether a child knows a concept. And if the child knows a concept, then we don't assess each and every step of the concept. We may assess one step which will tell us whether the child knows all the others. Because you can't do that one step unless you know the others. So the assessed curriculum differs greatly from what is the written curriculum and what is the learnt curriculum. Now the key words, as you will recall here, is learnt curriculum. I never said taught curriculum. And that's one thing that I don't believe in. You don't teach anybody anything. When you do, you're top down. You're imposing your own views on students. If you do that, they will mug it up, yes, because they're scared of you at the moment. But are they going to learn anything? Are they going to develop any skills? Are they going to be ready to face tomorrow? No. And this is where I say that experiential learning is very, very important. A student learns more from organizing a youth festival than he learns in one whole term in school. Because in organizing that youth festival, not only do you learn how to keep your books and accounts, you learn how to write fancy letters, you learn how to keep scores, you also learn the most important art of associating with people. Now, what are we therefore going to see at Candor in the coming year? Some of you may have already seen the school calendar, and you would have noticed that the school calendar has a lot of activities. It has got, in fact, so many activities that my coordinators feel suffocated. But what are these activities on the calendar? The inter-school activities which our school will be hosting. There are within the school major activities to bring out the talents of students. There is sports, there are awards, and there are a host of leadership activities. Now, why so many activities? Because this is the experiential learning I'm talking about. This is the activity for which you will be invited. And I hope that each one of you will be in school at least once a month to see how your children are doing and to encourage them to do more. This is the first part. The second part is that the school will now have plenty of leadership to ensure micromanagement of both academics and pastoral care. So what is that? The primary school will have a head of primary school along with a coordinator of primary. Middle school, which is always the tricky ones, will have a head of middle school, an IGCSE coordinator, and year heads for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, what it will ensure is that the year heads, coupled with the IGCSE coordinator, will micromanage every bit of academics. And number two, the head of primary will ensure that well-being is assured in the school, in that section. Now, ladies and gentlemen, all this is not going to come through wishful thinking. That, okay, we now have these people, they're going to micromanage. Micromanage what? Is it going to come like that? No. So we have already worked out the scheme of work, academic concepts which will be taught between this date and this date. Now, one of the things which always happens in the school You cannot avoid it. It happens here also. I've heard from parents about it. And what happens is that in a class of 20, some have understood the concept very well. Some others have partially understood the concept. Know this, know that, but I can't understand this part of it. And there are some others who were playing Ludo in the class and don't know anything. Now, I've got a date for the start of the concept, I've got a date for the end of the concept. What if at the end of the concept, I still have these three categories? So I put in 2 days of what I call revision. And in those 2 days, we do number one, looking at who knows, who partially knows, and who doesn't know. We bring everybody up to speed before we move on to the new concept. It is said that too much of assessment is not good, just as too little of assessment is also not good. So now we shall have a more moderated assessment system. Number one, there will be one set of full exams at the end of the first quarter, then one set at the middle of the year, midterm, half yearlies if you like, then one in the third quarter and one at the end of the year. So 4 sets of exams. That's it. Teachers are free to do class tests. These class tests, the dates of which will be decided by the teacher. But the interesting thing is that now all marks, grades, whatever is being given will be uploaded on the system and you can log in and see how your child has done. Each of these will have a weightage as far as the report card is concerned. And you will be able to see what kind of weightage it is. You know, they say that the attention span of children is very small. I also feel that the attention span of adults is also small. So I do not expect you to remember any of what I'm saying. You'll forget it the moment you switch off this video. In order to keep reminding you, each class will now have a digital notice board for which you will be sent credentials. You can log on to that digital notice board, and at every weekend you can see what has happened this week and what is going to happen the next week. Ladies and gentlemen, schooling, just like an Indian marriage, is not the meeting of two people. It is the meeting of two families. So it's not just that your child comes to school, that's it. It is that the school and you and your family blend together as one. Now, how does that work? You cannot but keep checking what your child is doing. That is your duty. You cannot but come for functions. That again is your duty. Because you have to help the school to do better. A school and you are not us and them kind of situation. It is a situation where you join hands and work towards the well-being of the children. And in order to do that, if you spot anything, you have to come and tell this school that, look, I saw this. What do you think? Do you think you need to do something else? And you will find that I'm most welcoming of these things. If you have a personal issue, you need to write to me. But if you have an issue which is in general about these things, please come, let's talk about it. It's very important. So, all in all, I would say that in the next 1 year, you will see a different kind of school. The plan is not for 1 year. The plan is for several years. For example, next year we will begin with what is known as PULSE, Personal and Universal Life Skills Education. Your child is highly educated, has gone through university, done this, done that, and then at dinner, the guy next to him is choking. Your child doesn't know what to do. What's the value of his great education? PULSE will teach him how to get things out of a person's throat through first aid. PULSE begins from grade 1. It starts by teaching little kids the importance of putting on your seatbelt in a car. It goes on to grade 11 and 12, teaching students such simple things as how to say no. They will be going abroad for their education. They will come across things like a simple beer or a cigarette or even drugs. Where do you draw the line? Where do you say no? It will teach students, especially the boys, how to cook, at least to save their life. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this kind of program will keep up. We are starting this year. It will be perfected in the years to come, but it has started. At the end of 12 years, we expect to produce rounded young men and women. I look forward to your cooperation and help in achieving these things. Thank you.